another episode of Shawnee Football and Friends. Got an NFL Week 17 preview. Starting off with tonight's game between the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. Should be a pretty fun one, but we will see how things go. 1 second. We're just getting all synced up and set up. But yeah. Hold on 1 second. Cool. So I wanted to go into a little bit of picks and previews, starting off with tonight's game between the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns, taking place in Cleveland at 8:15 on Amazon Prime. Currently, the Browns are the favorite, 7.5 points, and the total over-under is 34 points. I like that over, and I like Cleveland to win. I'm not so sure about covering, although they probably could. Joe Flacco has been really exciting to watch in this Browns offense. Very cool to see this revival of his career sort of presented. Give me 1 second. His connection with Amari Cooper last week was really incredible. Set a franchise record for the Browns. I think had 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty incredible performance for the both of them. And Joe Flacco really likes to gun it downfield. Always had a nice deep ball and is showing that he's willing to throw it down deep and take chances, and it's working for the Browns. So I like the Browns to win this one. I'm rooting for the Blue Hen quarterback leading the Browns. And, this is there should be a bad taste in the Jets' mouth. They had the option of signing Joe Flacco just a couple weeks ago. They had plenty of quarterback issues this year. And, if they had looked Joe Flacco's way, maybe things would have been a little bit different for the Cleveland Browns, or the New York Jets. But I like the Browns to win this one. Moving on to the Saturday game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions. This one's taking place in Arlington, Texas at AT&T Stadium at 5:15. It's the only game on Saturday, so that'll be interesting. A lot of attention on ESPN, ABC, ESPN2, ESPN Plus, ESPN Deportes, NFL Plus, all the channels. Cowboys are opening as minus 250 favorites, 5.5 points, 53.5 total points. I'm going to be totally biased here, but I want the Detroit Lions to win this one. We'll see if that happens. Dallas definitely has the better defense shown this season so far. But I don't know. I'm rooting for their epic collapse in December to continue. I don't know if it'll actually happen. Dallas is definitely a formidable team, and their defense looks great this season with Deron Bland and Micah Parsons doing their jobs. But I think Jared Goff on the Lions deserves a lot more credit than he's getting this year. Pretty sure he's third in the league in yards for what's it called? Pretty sure I saw this today, the other day. Nope, that's wide receiver yards. But I'm on St. Brown with 1,282. but I saw the passing. Yeah, Jared Goff, third in the league, 39.84. So almost 4K, 1,000 yards already this season. Pretty incredible so far. Definitely deserves a lot of credit. And, Dak Prescott's not too far behind. So both of these offenses have really been firing on all cylinders. I'm still, like I said, going to be biased and rooting for the Lions. Typically, the home team gets 3 points. So let's say that the Dallas Cowboys are actually 2.5-point favorites on neutral territory. So they are favored, but I'm rooting for the Lions. I know.
Bruh.
Anyway, moving on to the next game is between the Sunday kickoffs games. Miami Dolphins versus the Baltimore Ravens, and these are the number 1 and 2 teams in my current power rankings. If you see right here, Baltimore and Miami. So they've both been crushing it this season right now, and this is the battle for the number 1 spot, and I think that the Ravens will prevail and hold on to it. Both teams really have great offenses and defenses, but the Ravens have just looked better against better opponents, in my opinion, this year. Not to mention that they have home field advantage, but that's not to take anything away from the Miami Dolphins. Love Mike McDaniel and his offense. Tua has been incredible, and so has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert. Really, that whole offense has been pretty amazing this year, honestly. And really fun to see all their players go in motion and just tear it up. But that's my guy, Mike McDaniel. I like making fun of him and doing parody videos because he's a funny dude, honestly. But we will see what happens. Tyreek Hill is a baller. They have a nice secondary with Jalen Ramsey and Deshaun Elliott. So we'll see if they can keep things up. I chose the Ravens in this one, I believe. But I don't have a huge confidence level. Just one football. And it's mostly just because they're home field. So hopefully Lamar can continue his MVP campaign and win this one for the Ravens. Call. Love me some Harbaugh. He looks just like Brock Purdy. And they've got such a good secondary. I love Patrick Queen, Marlon Humphrey. Zay Flowers is one of my favorite rookies this year. And he did the Devontae Smith Grinch Steal Your Presents celebration. Let's go. I think Devontae Smith did it better, but that was mostly because he had the prop of the Salvation Army basket, cauldron. I don't know exactly what it is. Anyway, moving on to the New England Patriots at Buffalo Bills, and I think this is going to be a pretty easy one to talk about. I think the Bills are going to win this one, take care of business like they have been the past few weeks. The run game has really looked good as of late. James Cook and Playoff Lenny have been taken over and have been looking pretty good, if you ask me. And Josh Allen hasn't really had to do too much. Stephon Diggs hasn't really had too much of an impact the past few weeks. And Gabe Davis had a nice weekend last week, but before that had a couple goose eggs. So we'll see how much their pass game is even needed against the Patriots, who are one of the worst teams in the league this year. I'm pretty sure Bailey Zappi will be starting for the Patriots, but even if Mac Jones, even if Pat Mahomes was starting for the Patriots, I don't know if they're going to win this one. So give me the Bills. Moving on to the Atlanta Falcons versus the Chicago Bears, I believe. If we can find it. Yeah, and we can just stay on this because it's all the Sunday games right here. And I think the Bears are going to win this one. Justin Fields has looked pretty good as of late, along with the trade deadline acquisition in Montez Sweat has been really stand up for the Bears defense. Meanwhile, the Atlanta really offense has sort of regressed. They really just have questions at quarterback. Ritter and Heineke, neither of them are really getting things done. Seems like they have a lot of talent with London, Pitts, and Bijan. But hopefully they can draft a guy or get a guy like, maybe Russell Wilson could fit there. Honestly, he's goofy to. I don't know, that actually might be a good marriage. I'm gonna pencil that in my mind right now because it looks like the Broncos are done with him. But anyway, I like the Bears to win this one. They already pretty much have the first pick locked up with Carolina struggling all year. And it does not look like they're going to make the playoffs. Even though they have a very outside chance, I don't see it happening. But they're very much still very deep in the hunt. But Justin Fields is sort of playing for his future and his job. A lot of these guys on the Bears are, and I think that they will prevail. They are the -3 favorites at home. Over-unders at 37.5. I like that over, even though it will probably be a relatively low-scoring game. Might not reach over 40. Moving on to the Tennessee Titans versus the Houston Texans. And I like the Houston Texans to win this one. They're favorited at -5 points. Over-under is at 43. Not really so sure about the over-under, although I like the over. I'm always rooting for points. Not really sure if CJ Stroud will be on the field or not, but I think that the Texans are just ultimately the better team. I really love what DeMeco Ryans has been doing with this squad, and they technically do have playoff hopes on the line, so hopefully they can continue those. I think, let's see, this is what I wanted to show. So the Texans have 39% chance of making the playoffs right now. If they win, though, they have a 51% chance. So basically, if they win out the rest of the season, they might get in. It's definitely a long shot considering a lot of the teams in the AFC are well positioned. Like, I'm pretty sure the Chiefs are winning in. The Browns tonight are winning in. The Bills are basically winning in. So the Texans need the Colts and the Jags to most likely lose, and they need to win. But we'll see what things happen. A lot of things can happen in 1 or 2 weeks. So we will see how all those fun scenarios play out, but I like the Texans to win this one. Moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. And this will be an intriguing match when it's really all said and done. I think I like the Raiders. What Antonio Pierce, their interim head coach, has been doing over the past few weeks is really incredible. I really hope that he gets that full-time job going forward. Or moving on. He had a really impressive win against the Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. And really has his guys playing for him. Loved that Jack Jones interception on Pat Mahomes last week. And then did that Grinch Stole Christmas where he faked the ball to a fan and then was just like, nope, gotcha. But all fun stuff, all fun and games. Really seems like they have that Oakland mentality. But it's fun watching the Raiders, and I feel like when it comes to the Colts, the Minshew magic may have sort of run up, and things are sort of catching up to them. They've been playing really well, and I think Shane Steichen, their head coach, deserves a lot of credit this year. for getting this team to an 8-7 record. But ultimately, I think that the Raiders have more momentum going in their direction, and I'm rooting for them to win. Even though Aiden O'Connell, I don't think even threw or had a completion for 3/4 against the Chiefs, and they still were able to win. So pretty incredible performance. Moving on to the Carolina Panthers at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Jacksonville Jaguars at Jacksonville at 1 o'clock. The Jaguars are the 6.5-point favorites with a 38 point spread. I like the Jags to win and cover, and I like the over. Panthers did get a win last week. Congratulations to them, but ultimately I think the Jags need a couple wins if they want to make the playoffs, like I was just showing just a moment ago. If they win, they have an 81% chance of making the playoffs. If they lose, it's 38. So these last few games are really important, and this is an extremely winnable game against one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league. So I'll take the Jacksonville Jaguars. It doesn't matter if Trevor Lawrence or CJ Beathard is starting for the Jags. I think that they are ultimately just have more things on the line and will get the job done. Definitely like Bryce Young and wish him the best going forward, but he was dealt a bad hand when the Panthers just traded all those assets to get him. So it's gonna be tough for him, honestly, in his career until they start recouping some of those assets. Because losing DJ Moore along with all those picks is, I mean, you see he's got no one to throw to. Adam Thielen's, a flash in the pan of what he used to be. And Jonathan Mingo I like, but isn't really getting separation or making that much of an impact as a rookie. So we'll see what goes on going forward there. But yeah, I like the Jags. Moving on to the Los Angeles Rams versus the New York Giants, and I like the Los Angeles Rams in this one. Game's taking place at 1 o'clock in New York. Rams are the favorite in -5.5 away in New York. That's a big fall of grace for the Giants. Tommy DeVito is no longer starting for them. Tyrod Taylor will be taking the helm at quarterback. I don't think that quarterback change will matter. Ultimately, I think Matthew Stafford and the Rams will get things done. Their offense has looked really electric the past few weeks with Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp all firing on all cylinders. Really, really exciting to see Kyren Williams develop into pretty much a feature back this year. I had a friend reach out and say that they thought it was a bad pick, but I was always a big fan of his coming out of Notre Dame, and really thought that he could prevail and get through the injury that he had last year. I think he was coming back from an ACL or something, and missed, I think, 10 of last season's games, and then played a handful and shared carries with Cam Akers, and then they traded Cam Akers earlier this season, and Kyren Williams has been the guy since then and has looked pretty amazing with the extra touches. So I think that they will get this win, and we will see. I'm excited for that matchup, baby. I lost my spot. Who we got next? Next, we got the Philadelphia Eagles, or the We got the Arizona Cardinals at the Philadelphia Eagles, the Bird Bowl, baby. I like the Eagles in this one. Obviously, I am an Eagles fan, so I might be a little bit biased. But this is the first time the Eagles are facing their former defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon. Taking place 1 o'clock at the Link, New Year's Eve day. I don't know what you call it, December 31st, I guess. Eagles are favorited 10.5. Not so sure if they can cover that. I don't think have been able to blow out a team all season, so I kind of like the Cardinals to cover. But over 48, I see that happening, and I like the Eagles to win. I'll be at this game, so check me out on Sunday and all my fun stories. And you can do that at Shiny Football. I don't know how to point. Shiny Football on all social medias, right there. Wrong screen. Sorry. Boom. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, but should be fun and should be exciting. Maybe I should have this technically like that and that like that. So then I could be like, check out Fanatics, bitch. Check me out, bitch. Alright, cool. We're playing with stuff. We are learning new technology or something like that. I don't know. We're making stuff up as we go, but at least we got the soundboard this year.
I like turtles.
Yeah, fun stuff. Anyway, I like the Eagles to win this one. Jalen Hurts has been balling out. I think that they're going to run this ball a lot in this game. And that's what I hope, because I have been preaching for them to run the ball, and they don't want to get anyone hurt going into the playoffs. So let's protect the football and get the dub. And hopefully some of the guys back on defense can get things done. I think Darius Slay should be back. And yeah, Darius Leonard looked pretty good in the last matchup. I think he had 5 solo tackles and a sack. So at least they're getting some depth at linebacker. It's old depth and it's more of a band-aid, but Keely Ringo and some of the corners looked good in the last game, so hopefully they can keep building on that experience and keep getting better, baby. Moving on to the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is essentially a playoff game for these teams. I'm rooting for the Bucs in this one. I think that Baker has been getting things going for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and seems like he may have found a new home in Tampa. But the NFC South has really been a fun sort of clash of 3 teams. But ultimately, I have more faith in the Bucs. We'll just go with that. Derek Carr hasn't really impressed me too much, and Alvin Kamara has not really been utilized too much in the past week or two. So until they prove those otherwise, I'm going with the Bucs, but I am hoping that the Saints can get a lot of fantasy points because I have Kamara and Olave in a fantasy championship this Sunday, I believe. Yeah, there's Kamara, there's Olave. And speaking of that team while I'm at it, it's really tough this week because I lost Russell Wilson, homeboy got benched, and I also lost Stevenson. He's out for the season now on IR. So I had to pick up Mason Rudolph, who had a great week last week, connecting with my boy George Pickens. So hopefully I can still prevail. It looks like I am favored by like 2%, 1%. Yeah, 51 to 49. So it's not looking as good as it did when I had Russell Wilson / Stevenson. I don't really have better options on the bench. I mean, Jacoby Myers and Odell are okay. I just picked up Devontae Parker and I have no faith in him. And Isaiah Likely's been pretty nice, but I would start OBJ or Myers over him. Likely would only really start if I needed help at tight end, and I like Kittle, so we're good there. But nobody really cares about my fantasy team, but it is a fantasy championship, so show me the money, show me the money, 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 dollar, 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 dollar. I think I had that, don't I? I don't know what it's called. Is it show me the money? Maybe not.
Imagination.
Anyway, beep, 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 beep. Yeah, I can't find the oh, here it is.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money,
Dollar.
Anyway, moving on to the San Francisco 49ers in Washington at FedEx Field at 1 o'clock. I like the 49ers to bounce back after their big loss to the Ravens. Brock Purdy will not likely throw 4 picks against this Commanders defense, although I don't know, maybe the Baltimore team just broke them and has passed their secrets on to the Commanders. But I think that the 49ers will get things back in the right direction and win this one. Don't really need to go into too much detail. Should be an easy win for them. Moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Seattle Seahawks, and this should be a pretty close game actually. Taking place at Lumen Field in Seattle at 4:05. Currently, the Seahawks are the favorites, 3.5 points. Over under at 41 total points. So the Seahawks are really just a half-point favorite in neutral territory. I still like them to win. I think that when it really comes down to it, they have the better answer at quarterback. Geno Smith has come back and is looking pretty good and has to get them back in playoff hopes and contention. Seahawks a win, and they have 88% chance. Right now they have about a 70% chance, but if they lose, 40. So it's still really they control their own destiny. And Pittsburgh is no slouch, got a great defense, and they're playing Mason Rudolph and George Pickens on offense. So they may not have necessarily studied for Mason Rudolph all season. So will be interesting to see how the Seattle secondary does. I do like Devin Witherspoon, the rookie first-round pick that they drafted. Even though that they could have had Jalen Carter, the Eagles defensive tackle, baby. But I like the Seahawks to win this one. Love DK Metcalf and that run game on the Seattle side. So I think that they will get things done. But on the Pittsburgh side, hope Mason Rudolph and George Pickens can get things done on my fantasy team, like I mentioned earlier, because we got DK Metcalf, Pickens, and Rudolph. So that game's actually pretty important for my championship hopes. Moving on to the Los Angeles Chargers at the Denver Broncos. And yeah, okay. And I don't really know what I like here. I guess I like Denver. I think maybe the quarterback change will galvanize something. Maybe they have something in Jared Stidham over Russell Wilson. 4 teams have announced quarterback changes. Here's the tweet that I liked a lot. Russell Wilson's being replaced by Jarrett Stidham for the Broncos. Tommy DeVito's being replaced by Tyrod Taylor for the Giants. Sam Howell is being replaced by Jacoby Brissett for the Commanders. And Nick Mullins is being replaced by Jaron Hall for the Vikings. So a lot of quarterback switcheroos throughout the season. A lot of injuries and a lot of, I guess, subpar player guys winning and losing jobs here and there. Josh Dobbs was a fun chapter earlier this season, but I've got away from the point. I guess I like the Broncos to win this one, though. I think that Sean Payton wants to see what he's got in Jarrett Stidham. I don't think it's a franchise quarterback, but maybe it's a starter for the next 2 games. And maybe they draft a guy like Shondor Sanders late in the first. Or get someone, I don't know. There are a lot of quarterbacks in this year's draft. I don't think that they're going to get Caleb Williams or Drake May. But who knows? Especially with the Bears, the Justin Fields could be available depending on the packages available. But I like the Broncos, I guess, in this one. And I'm hoping Russell Wilson lands back on his feet or retires in Broncos country. Let's ride. Moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals at the Chiefs, and this is a pretty much must-win game for the Chiefs. They've lost a couple bad ones as of late, so it'd be nice to get one in the win, and this should be a very winnable game. Pat Mahomes against a backup quarterback in Jake Browning. Game's taking place at 4:25 at Arrowhead Stadium, and the Chiefs are 7-point favorites. I like them to win. 7 points might be tough to cover. 44.5 for both teams combined. I do like, I could see it being like a 30-20 point game where, that's at least 50 points, something like that. So hopefully the Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce can get things back in the win in the column and get their playoff hopes back intact. They currently have a 95% chance of making the playoffs, so they're pretty much locked in the playoffs. But a win would 100% do that for them, and a loss would still pretty much guarantee them a playoff spot. But seeding could very much change, and the quality of their opponent in turn with that. Moving on to the Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings, the NBC primetime game of the week. There's no Monday Night Football this week, but we always love Sunday Night Football. Carrie Underwood kicks butt with that anthem, always gets me going. And this is a must-win game for the Packers if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. Like right here, they're in the hunt. They currently have a 26% chance, but if they win, they have a 55% chance. So basically, if they win out, they can make the playoffs. But if they lose this game, then they're pretty much done. They have a 1% chance, so they are basically done this season. And this is a very winnable game. They're playing against a backup's backup. I like Jaron Hall, the BYU quarterback drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, but he's a rookie, hasn't really gotten that many reps. And they had Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs start up ahead of him for games, so you really have low expectations. But at the same time, he is throwing to a guy like Justin Jefferson, who's arguably the best receiver in the league right now. So, any given Sunday, any given Thursday, today's that Thursday, any given Sunday, that game's on Sunday, today's Thursday. But I am rooting for the Packers to win this one. I think that they will. It really does suck about the Jair Alexander suspension. I don't know if he even has the opportunity to appeal it or plead against it or anything. But you know, he did admit that it was his fault, and he almost cost his team the ball too. So he, he maybe deserves it, but it's going to be really tough to lock up a guy like Justin Jefferson when your all-pro cornerback isn't playing. But that pretty much wraps up this week's matchups. I will post my picks. I did have them all ready to go here, but I didn't post them because I wasn't sure if I was going to change something as I was talking through it with you all right now. Hope you're enjoying the show, the content, the awesome, good vibes. As always, check out Fanatics merchandise. Get some cool NFL gear for your favorite team. That's where I got the cool fat heads, the case for my football, some of the footballs, and all the other fun stuff. So get your good stuff there. Follow Shawnee Football on all social media. Got a QR code there. I'm cute, aren't I? Look at me with the Lombardi Trophy. Now I'm in my apartment and talking to you guys. So hopefully we can get back and get another time and play with the trophy again. Get another one. Let's go Birds. But until next time, hope you enjoyed the show. Good luck with all of your fantasy playoffs and all of your bets, and we'll see you next time.